Day 10 Loop Structure. Welcome back everybody. I'm Prakash Vadan, your trainer for this entire series. In this topic, we're going to talk about the further continuation of your loop structure, and of course, we're going to talk about only while when. Per video, if we discuss about only one this particular loop structure, I guess it would be quite it's a kind of easiness for you all, because if we mix it up all the looping structure just in a one video, or it might be in a one class, so I don't think it would be appropriate for you all to understand as well, because there's a chances to get mixed up with the different types of looping structure. So that's why I thought of making one by one. So in this session, we're going to talk about how while when is going to help you in order to execute something repeatedly. So without wasting our time, let's start how it works. So now, while when statement over here, as you can see, it is also simply used to execute a block of statement. Obviously, when we use a looping statement, it's going to help you in order to execute the block of statements repeatedly. That means till the specified condition is satisfied, and this condition is to be defined by the user itself. But if you have a look over here, like a for next, we are going to have the two statement over here. That means one is a while, that is the initial, that means the starting one, and the when is used to terminate, similar to your for next. Now the next is used to terminate, and for was the starting of the loop. So over here also we are going to have the same thing. So while indicates the first part of your loop, and when indicates the last part of the loop. Now let's try to understand how these two are going to work together in order to meet your desired output. The while part always evaluates the condition actually. That means whenever you would like to define a certain condition in order to print something repeatedly, so that condition is always evaluated by your while statement itself, and repeats the block of statement if the result of your lesson is true. That means until and unless the condition is true, it's going to execute the set of statement or the block of statement that you'd like to print it out repeatedly. Now, it's not mandatory that all the time your condition is true. In that case, if the result is false, in that case, it is simply going to transfer the program control to the statement which is right after the when. That means if the condition is true, while it's going to continue, it's going to execute the block of code. And if the condition is false, in that case, it's going to send you to the block that is right after the when, after repeating the certain block of code. If that repetition has exceeded, here what you need to understand, if the result of evaluation of the is false, then it transfers the program control to the statement which is right after the when. That does not mean that when the first time execution is done, the condition does not match. You might be having 5 or 10 times to be repeated, but once you execute, it checks the condition. If the condition is false, it's going to send you out of the when. It's not like that. So it need to check the value. If the final value has exceeded in the block of code whatever you have executed, only in that case it's going to send you right after the when statement. This you need to make clear. So if you have a look over here for your syntax of this while when, if you have a look over here, while and condition, that means while then the condition, it might be something like a is greater than equals to 10. That's your condition. That means it will not execute if the value of a, that means it goes above the 10. So after the condition is tested, it's going to print the block of statement, and then again of course the when is going to make sure that the execution is done as per the condition is being specified by the programmer. And then if the condition is satisfied, and if you exceed that limitation, only then it's going to send you the statement that is written right after the when, and most probably we are going to write here some kind of end statement only. Now where the condition, if you see over here, the condition is your logical expression that returns either true or false. So this logical expression, it depends upon you. Now if I have to talk about the simple example of your while when loop, if you have a look over here, that the counter variable that we are using over here, I, is initialized before the loop, which was not done in your for next. So that's a one difference. Don't forget that. Okay, we'll be talking about the difference of using while when loop and as well as your for next at the same time. Now if I tell you over here that while I is less than equals to 5, that means the repeated execution of statement of this print I will be done till the last value of I is less than or equals to 5. That means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But one thing you might have noticed over here, in a for loop, we did not initialize the counter variable, but here we are doing that. What is the reason? If I do not initialize this counter variable, what's going to happen? It's going to execute for 6 times, including 0, because the counting starts from the 0. So that's why we have initialized value over here 1. Now, right after that, since the condition, if you see as per your syntax over here, this condition, okay, now as the condition is being defined by you that the value of I should be less than or equals to 5 in order to go to the next block of code in order to execute, and then it's going to print I. What is the first value of I? You have already initialized over here, that is 1, so it's going to print 1. But right after that, the value of I is going to be increased by you yourself. Whereas if I see the default incrementation of the loop in for next, the counter variable used to increase automatically if you do not specify what amount of value is to be increased for the next statement. But whereas over here in your while when, the counter variable value you will have to increase yourself. Guys, don't forget, in counter variable, this over here in while when, the counter variable value you will have to increase yourself, which was not mandatory, which was not required to be done in a for next. But here in while when, you will have to increase. Now the value of I is I plus 1 means what? The previous value of I was 1, so that means the 1 plus 1 is 2. Then again it goes back and makes sure, did I meet the final value? Of course the condition is false because the final value of I was supposed to be 5. So in that case, it's going to send you inside this block of code, and that means now it's going to print I. What was the last value after increasing this one? I plus 1, that means 1 plus 1, 2. Then again it's going to print 2 and it will send you down here. Again 2 plus 1, 3. It will send you back. It's less than 5? Yes. Then execute 3. 3 plus 1, 4. It will send you back. Is it less than 5? Yes, of course. Then print 4. Now I equals to I plus 1. That means 4 plus 1, 5. Now it says, did I meet the condition? Yes, your value is 5 and my last value is also 5. So that's why it's going to send you last time over here. And then it's going to print I. That means 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is already done. Now don't forget, right after that, the program is not end. This you need to make clear. Because right now the value of I is 5, so that's why it's going to execute this. And don't forget, we have not used over here the branching statement. That means unconditional branching or conditional branching you have not used specifically over here in a form of your if then else statement. So that's why when the print I 5 is printed for the last time, again it will have to go through this next line. Now what will be the value of I? 6. Again it says, what is my value? It's already 5 is already exceeded. Now you're 6. In that case, it will send you out of the loop. That means by the time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is already printed. Now this was the program in order to print the value in ascending order. What if I would like to print the value in descending order? That means in a form of reverse order. So in that case, what I'm going to do over here, the counter variable has initialized the value to the highest one. Remember over here we started with the 1, that means the value will get printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but now I would like to print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's why the initial value is 5. Now it's going to check this condition. Okay, the condition is I'm going to repeatedly execute the value till the final value of I is greater than or equals to 1. But right now the value of I is 5. So it's going to print 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that means first it's going to print 5. Now, after printing the 5, it's going to reduce the value of I by 1. That means 5 minus 1, 4. It goes back. Am I 1? No, it's just a 4. Then go inside the loop again. It's going to print 4. Again, it will subtract by 1 because we know the order of flow of the sequence in the QBASIC programming. It goes from top to bottom. Now, it's going to reduce 4 minus 1, 3. It goes back. Am I 1? No. Then go inside the loop. Print this one, 4. Minus 1, 3, it prints 3, again minus 1, 2, it goes back, it prints 2, it comes down over here, 1, now it says, yes, I have reached to the final value, that is 1. And now it's going to print it I, that means the 1, and again if I do 1 minus 1, that's 0. So when I go back, have I specified the condition to print a 0 value? Obviously it's not, so that's why it's going to send you out of the loop. Now sending out of the loop means your program is over. Now this was the theoretical portion. Now I would like to take you to the practical scenario so that you witness yourself that all of the program what we discussed just now along with the syntax of this while when, that really does work. Now let's go and see the practical. Okay, welcome back. Now we'll be seeing the practical implementation of that while when loop structure, what we discussed in our theoretical portion. So let's start now. So I'm going to write the same program so that even you get convinced that what we did in a theory was indeed a true. So let's do it the same program over here. So the counter variable I'm going to assign as 1, and if you remember, we printed the first value for 1 to 5. So that's why I'm going to do the same thing. So if I want to declare a condition over here, while I is less than equals to 5, and then I'm going to print I, then I is equals to I plus 1, when and end. So let's see how it is going to work. The counter variable's initial value is 1, and what this line indicates, I'm going to repeat execution of a statement until and unless I get the final value of I is equals to 5. So right now the value of I is 1. So if I do print I, it's going to print 1, and then I is equals to I plus 1 means 1 plus 1, 2. When we'll go back and to check the final value of this, still the value of I is 2. So now it's going to allow you to go inside the loop again. So print I means 2. Again, I is equals to I plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3. Again it goes back and it prints 3, 4, 5. In that way, it's going to give output something like this. So how about if I would like to print the value 1 to 10? It's simple, just change this value because the rest of the process are same. If I run it, you'll witness that the rest of the value is same. See, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. Now, what if you'd like to print a number, having a certain gap in let's say a gap of 1, for example. That means 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, something like that. So in that case, I'm going to give over here the initial value as 2, okay? And here it's the same thing. Initial value is 2, the final value will be 10, but this time instead of adding 1, I am going to add 2. That means 2 plus 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So if I run it, it's going to give output something like this. Okay, but it's not like that all the time you print a value in ascending order. You might be willing to print certain values in reverse order as well. So in that case, the first value you'll have to assign over here in a counter variable and slightly change over here, greater than equals to 1. So let's say I would like to print a value 10, 9, 8, 7, something like that. It will go till 1. So rather than adding a value, what I'm going to do, minus 1. That means the first value of I is 10. And now this line indicates that you'll have to execute a value until unless I get the final value of I as of 1. And then print I. What is the value of I? 10. It's going to print 10. Now 10 minus 1, 9. Again goes back, prints 9. 9 minus 1, 8. So this way, it's going to execute your series of number in this order. So similarly, if you'd like to print a number, again in reverse, let's say 15, 10, 5. So in that case, what do you have to make a change? You guess for a second? I hope you're right. So the initial value, I'm going to give 5. If I want to print, let's say 5, 10, 15, then we'll be doing the reverse as well. Okay, now this one is, if I want to print till 15, less than equals to 15. And over here, what will be the difference? I plus 5, because the next value will be 10. Rest all are same. You see, it's easy, it's easy. Now let's go for the reverse. Now if I wanted to print this value in reverse, 15, 10 and 5, where do you have to bring change? It will be greater than equals to 5. Okay, and then what I want to do over here, rather than adding, of course, since I'm going in reverse, so I'd like to give minus. So if I run this program, so it's going to do something like this, 15, 10 and 5. Trust me guys, it's same like that. Same like for next loop, only two differences are there. In for next, we do not initialize the counter variable before the loop, but here we are doing that. Number 2, in for next loop, you do not need to increment the value yourself if you want to go in sequence. That means in sequential increment, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. Whereas over here in while when, you will have to increase or decrease the value of the counter variable yourself. So if I have to sit to write a program in order to display the table of, let's say, 10 up to 10th term using a while when, this is not difficult. First, what you need to understand, till which term you are going to print the value. That means till 10th term, the table of 10 to 10 into 1 equals to 10, 10 equals 10 into 2 equals to 20, something like that. Up to 10th term means it will be less than equals to 10. Okay, and then the table of 10, since I'm talking about over here, I'm going to initialize the value over here 10. So now I would like to print this table in complete order. That means 10 into 1 equals to 10. Now which variable is your constant that is holding the 10 permanent? Of course, is j. So j in double quotation, since we want to print this asterisk sign as it is. If you remember the rules for naming a variable and using a value in a string variable, we write the value in double quotes. So it's gonna display 10 into as it is. Okay, 10 into 1. Where is 1? I. And then is equals to sign also I would like to have the same. So 10 into 1 is equals to 10 into 1, j into 1. And regarding the symbol, you don't have to worry. It's gonna do itself. See? Semicolon is going to add as it is. Okay. So now what will be the next value of your I? Because the loop will start from 10 into 1 equals to 10. So what should be the next value of I? Obviously it's 2, because it's going to display a table of 10 up to 10 term. That means 10 into 2 is equals to 20. So in that case, I is equals to I plus 1. Rest all are same. If I run it, you'll see that it's going to display a table of 10, I mean say up to 10th term. Even if you have to display this in reverse order, it's the same thing. Okay. Now let's do the last program in order to write a program to find the sum of numbers 1 to 5. Okay, 1 to 5. So it's the same thing that we did in a for next. Okay, if you remember. So let's say while I is less than is equals to 5, because the last value is 5. I'd like to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and total at last. So I'm going to write total is equals to, total is empty, this variable, it's going to work as accumulator. So total is equals to total plus I, and then I is equals to I plus 1. I'm going to do when, and I'm going to give one line break, and then I'm going to write total is equals to, in which variable did I store? That's the total itself. Now if I run this program, you'll witness the output is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that means 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 is equals to 15. So this way you can write a program using While Wend. Now it is up to you how far you can go in order to write a program in QBASIC using your While Wend. I would like to suggest more you practice, more you learn. So if you'd like to have some more program using for next and While Wend, okay, you can simply comment so that I can write more program as per your need. So I do believe it was a fun learning. It was easy for you to understand. So if you find it fruitful, please do like and subscribe. Thank you.